So for this video, I wanted to talk about some night photography that we did a couple days ago. Me and a couple of friends, we went out around town and just kind of photographed. I had some Cinestill to go through. I shot about a roll and a half of Cinestill on my Minolta cameras. X700 is one of them. And just wanted to show you what I got. This will be kind of like a voiceover. I did have planned to shoot like infield, but the camera that I have right now, which is only my iPhone camera, decided to shit out on me. So I wasn't using any of that. So there's no infield photos, but I decided I have all my scans back. Why not just kind of do like a voiceover and like my thoughts, my thought process, what I was thinking of, my settings, if I can remember them correctly, for my scans here, for my photos. So yeah, let's just get into it. So for the first set of photos, we find ourselves in Saginaw, Texas. I had driven past there a few days prior to us going out there to shoot photos, and I saw a couple of spots that kind of caught my eye, thinking to myself, they'll probably look pretty cool at night. So the first one is this cool little hotel. Decided to take a photo of the actual motel, the motel sign itself. I believe my settings for most of these are box speed, so 800 ISO. I shifted from f9 to f16 a lot, depending if I wanted to over underexpose some photos, and then all of my photos are taking that 1 second exposure. I did have my on a tripod with the cable release for the photos. So for this first photo here, I just wanted to get the sign. I see now that the lamps kind of overexpose the hotel sign itself, but I did catch a cool little 18-wheeler drive by there, and of course you see the Cinestill halations from the street lights. Not a great photo, but I thought it was pretty cool. Just to kind of get warmed up. I mean, and then we turn around, and then we find ourselves in facing the actual motel. After playing around with a few compositions, I found myself, let's see, this one. I found myself really kind of liking this composition right here. You see you see a couple of doorways into the actual motel itself, and there's only 2 cars parked there. I kind of like the mysterious vibe that they gave off. I feel like it tells you can kind of make up your own story in your mind. And if you see here in the middle frame, their light is on a little bit, but it just kind of like asks, what were they doing there? What kind of people are in those motels? Are they together because their cars are parked together? I don't know. I thought it was a pretty cool composition there. A lot of my photos, I do tend to bracket them if I do find that I like them. I will over and underexpose, and then I'll do my correct metering for them. This one is slightly on the underexposed side, but I think it works. It adds a bit of mystery to it. So that's the first shot at the motel that I like there. Here's another photograph that I captured at the motel that I kind of like. Along the edges of the building are neon lights, red, green, red, green, and it's just repeating itself all the way across. Near the end of the establishment, there was no cars in the way, and I just wanted to get the 2 doors, as you see here on screen. I just wanted to get the 2 doors. Was kind of going for a little bit of the symmetry, of course not perfectly, because the red and green neon lights aren't perfectly symmetrical, but still I figured this is a photo worth sharing. Across the street there was a dark building. It looked like maybe some kind of old mechanic shop. The window lights were on. I did try to take a picture of that. Not a big fan of it, but I figured I would still show it to you can kind of see what I was going for. I liked it, but not enough to like waste 3 or 4 shots on it. So I just took one photo. I believe this was around f9, 1 second exposure again, 800 ISO. Might be a shot worth coming back to later. I like the 3 windows, how they're lit up, and that's about it. But it didn't come out the way I expected it to. So, but yeah, I mean, I figured it would still be worth showing there. Now, the only shot that I wanted to come out here for, when I drove by a few days prior to this, there was a cash store, like a title loans cash advance kind of place, and it was kind of sitting in a place where not a lot was too much behind it, so it was just black darkness behind it, but the light was shining yellow, as you can see on the corners there, yellow with some like white neon just filling in the building. This is a shot that I initially had come out here for. This is the reason that I wanted to come out here to take this photo. Now, it was kind of tricky looking back at it. It was on the corner of the street, and then it was busy streets going in front of it and to the side of it. This was, I believe, the best angle that I could have captured without being in the middle of the street and getting ran over. I think this was f16, f11 or f16. I shot this on 28mm lens that I have, not my usual 50. This was about f11, f16, 1 second exposure, 800 ISO, and it was still, the highlights are still blown out a little bit, as you can tell. Again, this is no edit. This is just straight out of the camera there. Maybe looking back, I would have done probably f16 half a second, 1/4 of a second to kind of like expose just for the highlights. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with it. I still think it can be done better. Probably have to go around 1, 2 in the morning and have no cars in the middle of the street. I think we were here at about, I believe it was like 9 p.m. So there was still a good amount of traffic going through that area. So after photographing that cash store, we decided to move on to a different place. We were gonna actually go to the stockyards, but me and my 3 friends, we were in 2 separate cars, so we did have to go back and pick up my friend's car before heading out there. But on the way back, we saw this gas station, and I really wanted to stop and capture a photo of it on Cinestill. The first composition I was going for was just this isolated pump there. Again, I think this was f11, 1 second exposure, so it's still slightly overexposed, as you can tell. And maybe with a bit of editing I can save it, but I just wanted to be upfront, show with the straight out of camera scans. I would have liked it better if the Goodwill sign and the Chevron sign weren't in there, just kind of have like the isolated feel to it. So I really only took about 1 or 2 shots there, and then I moved on a little bit towards the right, and I was able to capture this photo. I do like this one a little bit more, actually. It kind of layers in the different pumps. It gets rid of the Goodwill sign. I'm okay with the Chevron sign being back there because it is a gas station in itself. I feel like this has a better feel to it. I like how it's layered, how I mentioned. We have the gas pump 4 in the front, and then that kind of like draws your eye into the Chevron in the background, and then most of the background is blacked out. You do have a few of the red halations from lights across the street, but I think this photo works better than the initial photo that I was trying to capture, which just goes to show you, just kind of, you take the photo you initially want to take, but then just kind of walk around. I think this was about 20 steps away from where I was first standing, so walking a few feet can definitely open up a new perspective, and in this case render a photo that was better than the one I liked, than the one I wanted to capture initially. So after picking up my friend's pickup truck, we made our way to the stockyards here in Fort Worth. I've been wanting to take photos at the stockyards for a bit now, especially because there seems to be a good amount of neon signs out there. So we parked. This was a Tuesday night, which is perfect because it was practically dead. There was nobody there, and this was about 10:30 at night now. There was a little bit of foot traffic, hardly any street traffic, which was perfect because we were able to just stand in the middle of the street for some of these shots and take some photos. So the first composition that we came across was this Star Cafe. It's a restaurant there in the stockyards. Really liked all the neon signs there. This was shot from across the street. We saw it, we stopped. This was shot on 50mm. Again, f11, 800 ISO, and 1 second exposure on my tripod. This one at first I thought was going to be a good shot. Looking at it now, it's a little bit too far away for my liking. Luckily, I did move in a little closer, maybe too close. Half of the shop is cut off there on the right side, but with a little bit of straightening, I feel like it can be okay. It can come out fine. I think the exposure here is also a little bit better. Not too many of the signs are blown out, and you do get, and the full red Cinestill halation does make a nice appearance on all the lights there lighting the roof of it. Overall, I think this shot looks fine. Nothing amazing. It's just neon signs on Cinestill. It's what I just wanted to capture. But I'm happy with it. We moved across the street and we went to the storefront of that cafe, and inside of it they had these classic picnic checkerboard table covers, and so I just got right up against the window. I kind of like the reflections of the red neon signs, and I just wanted to capture like the indoor dining area. I don't know, I thought this was gonna come out a little bit better. I'm iffy with it. It's okay, not great, but I liked it enough to show in this video. I probably will never post this anywhere, but it was pretty cool. So we made our way down the street towards the corner of the stockyards, and I wanted to photograph from across the street. There is a steakhouse, big neon sign, as you can see here, H3 Ranch, and I was like, oh perfect, it's pretty much deserted, no foot traffic, no car traffic. Let me just set up shop here, grab a photograph. 1 second exposure, like I mentioned, this was about f11 or f16, and I came out with this photo, which I really like. I kind of like how it's deserted. You see on the left hand side the orange of the photo, and then on the right hand side you see like the cinematic greenish look to it. And I actually waited for the light to turn red so it'll match the red neon all over the place here. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like this. It's kind of cool. But I went to take another photo of the same place, just in case the first one didn't come out as the way I like to, and I got that. This I like and I hate it. I like it. Obviously, this was a bus that happened to drive in front of my frame there, and you saw like all the cool lighting, the lights that they have on the top. The window lighting is a blue in the middle, and then you have the headlights that are causing the white lights in the bottom. It's really cool looking, but I think it kind of gets in the way a little bit too much of the actual piece itself, the neon sign, and the isolation and the feeling of it being lonely. But it's really cool looking. I mean, why not, right? So this is kind of cool too. I kind of like this one too. A little ways down from the H3 Ranch steakhouse is another steakhouse with more neon signs, Cattleman's. For this shot, I really wanted to go for the symmetrical vibe to it. I framed the sign as symmetrical as possible, to have the Cattleman's Steakhouse here on both sides, because it was kind of like in a triangle shape like this. This shot, I felt like it was worth bracketing. I did underexpose it, I did overexpose it, and then I did do metered it somewhat correctly. In this case, the underexposed is a little bit too dark, so I think the overexposed actually worked a little better because you do capture more of the shadow detail underneath the little roof walkway there. I don't know, it was just really cool. Again, more just bright lights, red halations, just redness everywhere. I like this photo. I kind of wish those vehicles weren't there on the left and on the right side of the frame. Just have it just even, nothing there. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And then on the corner of that street, we came across this tattoo store. It was lit up in purple neon, and there was just one car there on the side of it parked there. I already knew that I wanted to take a photo of it from across the street, kind of showing the dimensions of the building. But I did stop here and capture this straight on shot, this symmetrical shot. Not great. The car is kind of whack. It feels like a older vehicle, a more retro looking vehicle. Then it would have been awesome. But still worth showing. And then I crossed the street, and then I got the picture of the same building, but showing its dimensions, showing both sides of the building. Again, it's not anything crazy. I like it enough to show though. I wasn't thinking too much about this frame. It was just wanted a clean picture. And here is a picture of Billy Bob's, Texas. Big Fort Worth, especially Stockyard staple, the biggest honky tonk, whatever that means. But they do have a lot of neon outlining their building with the big old Texas sign at the top of it. Didn't spend too much time here. I didn't really like too many of the compositions here. The building is so long and it's kind of like at a weird angle. But this works okay, especially with the neon kind of just glowing all along the outline of the photo. And then in an alleyway from Billy Bob's going back into the stockyards, we found this truck parked along this roadway, with a whole bunch of lights just on the trees, kind of just leading all the way down into the stockyards. I figured I'd stop in and capture this composition, just a lonely truck parked on the side of the road. What I was really interested in was the lights on the string of lights on the trees, kind of leading all the way to the stockyards. I knew that it would kind of like glow red, so I kind of wanted to capture that. Again, I just placed the truck on the right third of the image, and then just kind of like just let the lines of the trees, let the lines of the light and the road just kind of draw your eye into the photo. Kind of make up your own story. Why is he there, kind of thing. Why is the truck parked by itself at 10:30 at night at the stockyards? At the end of that walkway, we come across into an opening that leads you to the other side of the stockyards, and yet again to another steakhouse, Risky Steakhouse. I threw on my 28mm lens on here because I wanted to get both the Risky Steakhouse red neon lighting along with the famous Fort Worth Stockyards sign, and I kind of composed it with the Riskies on the left side of the frame and then the Stockyards on the right side of the frame. I think this photo works out well. A little bit of things that I wish would have happened. Maybe not have these cars in front of Riskies, just kind of have Riskies completely empty and just have the storefront be the main focus of it. But it is a touristy area, so I can't really help too much of it. Again, a little bit slightly overexposed on the highlights, but I think overall it's a pretty cool looking photo. Yeah, I did scoot up here a little bit, and I focused on the Risky's Steakhouse, as you will see here in just a second. Right here, I wanted to photograph. I approached the Jeep. I was trying to catch the reflections of the Risky Steakhouse coming off of the shiny vehicle there. Didn't work quite as well as I thought it did, but I think it's okay. If maybe this big truck that was in the back was in place of the Jeep, it might have worked better. Fort Worth big trucks, Texas cowboys, the whole narrative right there. I think that would have fit a little bit better than this Jeep. But it's still, I mean, it's pretty cool. You see the neon signs there. You see the Jeep. Not much else to say. I did decide to hop in the middle of the road and just kind of try to grab the straight-on shot of the stockyards. This isn't anything, again, no thought process. It's just like the touristy photo there on Cinestill. I've never seen it, so I was like, why not just try it? I'm already out here. It came out okay. There's the lights look, they give it the cinematic green. You see the reds off of the street lights. It's just a cool looking photo, I guess. So yeah, that was a night of shooting here in and around Fort Worth with a couple of friends. I'll link their Instagrams below. My friend Fabian and my friend Chris. But yeah, I just wanted I had half a roll of Cinestill, and then I went through a whole nother roll into places that I've been wanting to shoot that I would not want to go to at night, because a lot of crazy people can come up to you, which it actually did happen. We saw an argument, and there was a guy spitting on a poor waitress. But that's why I try not to go out at night alone into these into places like that where it's kind of alone and desolate. But yeah, that's gonna conclude this video, this kind of narration kind of video about some of the photos I got. Thanks for watching. If you watched, trying to see what I can kind of do with this. I don't know, it's not even gonna be a channel, it's just an experiment right now. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks.